Morning. We are going to talk about insulin and glucagon, the two hormones mainly responsible for maintaining glucose concentration in the blood. But beyond that, they have a lot more functions to do in the body. And we are going to see all those things in detail in this section. This is the opening figure. This is a cell. So this is your cell. This is a receptor for insulin. Since you know insulin is made up of amino acids, that means it's a protein. Its receptor is present outside the plasma membrane. So this is the insulin receptor. Insulin is binding with the receptor. Here there is a channel for the entry of glucose. Before the binding of insulin, this glucose channel is closed. But glucose is waiting outside, where in the blood circulation, etc. Now, insulin is binding with the receptor. It is something like a key. Now the glucose channel is opened so that the glucose molecules can enter the cells. So, by this diagram, we mean to say that binding of the insulin with the receptor leads to uptake of glucose by the cells. Okay. From where is insulin produced? Insulin and glucagon are produced from pancreas. What is the structure of pancreas? This is the structure of pancreas. You can see acini, pancreatic acini is a group of cells, what you see here, not concerned with the production of hormones. Then you can see islets of Langerhans. These are the islets of Langerhans. Remember the difference in arrangement of acini and Langerhans. Acini is somewhat in the form of a sunflower, but the Langerhans is not like that. I mean, the islets of Langerhans are not like that. How many types of cells are there? You can see the alpha cell. Alpha cell of the islets of Langerhans is producing the glucagon. And we have the beta cells. Beta cells of the islets of Langerhans are producing the insulin. And then you have the delta cell. It's actually producing a hormone. You try to find out what is being produced by this delta cell. It was there in our slide, but I just removed it. But it is there in the textbook. Why red blood cells are given here? You see, these are the RBCs, these are the RBCs, here is the RBC. So this pancreas is abundantly supplied with blood vessels. You know why? Because these are all endocrine glands and their product should be released into circulation and should be carried away from there to the different parts of the body instantaneously. That's why this pancreas is abundantly supplied with blood vessels. Let us come back to the structure. You see pancreatic acini is there, which produce the digestive juice in the duodenum. Then we have the islets of Langerhans, which secrete insulin and glucagon. You see the size of the pancreas, etc. is mentioned here. And I told you there are three types of cells also. Of these, the beta cells make up around 60% of the islets, secreting insulin. Alpha cells make up around 25% of the total islets and secrete glucagon. And delta cells produce around, they consist of around 10% of the total, and they produce a hormone which I have not told you. Okay, somatostatin. Somatostatin is produced by one more type of gland in the body. Can you just find it out? And what are the functions of insulin? Insulin plays important role in storing excess energy. Basically, the function of glucose is to remove excess glucose from the blood. How? It is storing excess carbohydrate in the form of glycogen. You have heard about glycogenesis. Where is it taking place? In the liver and also in the muscle. And but that quantity is it's not that much. So excess carbohydrate that cannot be stored as glycogen are converted into fat and stored in adipose tissue under the influence of insulin. And insulin also has a direct effect on the uptake of amino acids by the cells and conversion into proteins. Protein synthetic enzymes are activated by insulin. And at the same time, it inhibits any process opposite to this. Now we found here three processes associated with glycogen, associated with lipid, associated with protein. Insulin is activating all those processes. At the same time, insulin is inhibiting any process opposite to this, which means breakdown of glycogen and also breakdown of fat and also breakdown of protein. Okay. Insulin chemistry, insulin is a protein. Insulin is protein finally produced, consisting of 51 amino acids. First of all, it is produced in the endoplasmic reticulum of the beta cells in the form of an insulin pre-pro hormone. Then it is cleaved. A few amino acids are removed to produce a pro-insulin that also is not functionally active, and thereafter it is secreted and it is circulating in the blood in the in about 6 minutes it is cleared from the circulation. Half-life is about 6 minutes, while clearance time from the circulation is 10 to 15 minutes. And except for the portion of the insulin that combines with the receptors, the remainder is degraded by insulinase enzyme, mainly in the liver. And rapid removal from the plasma is very much important. Why? Because if it remains in the circulation for a slightly longer period of time, it will affect many bodily functions adversely, because the concentration of the concentration of the glucose in the blood should be maintained within a narrow limits. This is the structure of insulin. You know that the two strands, there is the A chain and there is the B chain. You count and find out how many amino acids are there in the A chain, how many amino acids are there in the B chain. This is the structure of human insulin, and this is a disulfide bridge. You know that a disulfide bridge is connecting two cysteine residues. How many interchain disulfide bridges are there and how many intra-chain disulfide bridges are there? You find out all those things. Okay. How is insulin being functioning? Activation of the target cell receptors by insulin and the resulting cellular effects. I told you insulin receptor is present on the outside of the membrane, plasma membrane. There are 4 subunits, but let us see a diagram. So here, this is the plasma membrane of the cell. This is the receptor. The whole thing is the receptor. The receptor has a region passing through the membrane. The receptor has a region projecting out of the membrane. Remember, this is the cytosolic side of the cell, inside the cell, while this is outside the cell. So this is the insulin receptor, the extracellular region of the insulin receptor. Insulin is binding with the receptor, and you see it is connected inside the cytoplasm with a tyrosine kinase, and this tyrosine kinase in turn is connected with the insulin receptor substrates, IRS. It is leading to phosphorylation of enzymes, and the phosphorylated enzymes are active. It is leading to the various functional aspects such as glucose transport, protein synthesis, fat synthesis, glucose synthesis from where? from where, okay, you find it out, and growth and gene expression, etc. What about the glucose transport? It is activating the glucose transport across the glucose transporters on the plasma membrane. And you see, everything is explained here also. Remember, this is a tyrosine kinase activity. Which one? This enzyme receptors, this hormone receptors. And it is leading to a cascade of, remember this term, it is leading to a cascade of cellular responses. Each stage is amplified several thousand times. It is affecting enzyme activity, and it is ultimately resulting in a lot of biochemical functions. As we found in the diagram, insulin is binding with the alpha subunit outside the plasma membrane, while the beta subunit inside the cell become autophosphorylated. That means this is an enzyme linked receptor, tyrosine kinase. This autophosphorylation is activating tyrosine kinase, as I told you, which is causing phosphorylation of many other enzymes, including insulin receptor substrates. These insulin receptor substrates are of different types, IRS1, 2, 3, etc., in different tissues. Ultimately, some of these enzymes are activated, which are leading to the synthesis of glycogen, protein, lipid, etc., while some others are inactivated, which are leading to the breakdown of lipids, glycogen, etc. In this way, insulin directs intracellular metabolic machinery to produce the desired effects. What are the end effects of insulin? Ultimately, within seconds after insulin binds with its receptor, adipose cells markedly increase their uptake of glucose for what? For the breakdown of, for the synthesis of lipids, etc. The cell membrane becomes more permeable to amino acids for what? For the synthesis of proteins. Potassium ions, they are cofactors. Phosphate ions, for the phosphorylation of sugars, causing increased transport. And slower effects occur during the next 10 to 15 minutes to changes in the level of many of the intracellular metabolic enzymes. And slowly the rate is decreasing. The rate of activity is decreasing. But it is resulting in translation of RNA. First of all, transcription of genes, and then translation of RNAs, and then production of proteins, etc. So insulin has a much broader range of activity. What are the effects of insulin on carbohydrate metabolism? It causes uptake and storage and use of glucose. Why? The basic function of insulin is to remove glucose from circulation. These functions are activated in almost every cell of the body, but especially muscles, adipose tissue, and liver. In the muscles and liver, for the synthesis of glycogen. In the adipose tissue, for the synthesis of fat. Let us see functions on glucose. Immediately after a meal, the glucose is absorbed from the blood and it is stored in the form of glycogen. Then, once a meal is over, for the next meal you will take a few hours. That means slowly the glucose in the blood is used up for generating energy. Now, in between the meals, when the food is not available, when the blood glucose concentration begins to fall, insulin secretion decreases and liver glycogen is split back into glucose to release into blood circulation to keep their level constant. That means insulin is something like a brake upon the glycogenolysis. You know that glycogenolysis is the breakdown of glycogen. If insulin is not there, glycogenolysis will take place, glucose is released. And if insulin is there, glycogenolysis is not permitted, so glucose is not released. The mechanism by which Insulin causes glucose uptake and storage in the liver. It has multiple steps. Step 1, insulin activates liver phosphorylase and prevents breakdown of glycogen. You know that glycogen phosphorylase is actually responsible for the first step of breakdown of glycogen. That enzyme is inactivated. Step 2 or process 2, insulin causes enhanced uptake of glucose from the blood by the liver cells. How? By increasing the activity of glucokinase. You know that glucokinase catalyzes the reaction between glucose and phosphate, producing glucose 6-phosphate. This is the first reaction of glycolysis. What's the advantage of this reaction? Now the glucose is carrying a phosphate group. Now this glucose 6-phosphate cannot diffuse across the plasma membrane. That means the position of the glucose is now restricted to the interior of the cell. The glucose cannot go outside the cell. And process 3, insulin increases the activity of enzymes that promote glycogen synthesis. You know that glycogen synthesis is the first enzyme responsible for glycogen synthesis. Then you have the branching enzyme is there. So the activity of all those enzymes is promoted by the insulin hormone. The net effect, increased amount of glycogen in the liver and of course in the muscles as well. And when the glucose is not there in the circulation, you know that insulin is not produced, and that way glycogenolysis is taking place, and glucose molecules formed are in the form of glucose 6-phosphate. Then glucose phosphatase is working where in the liver, so that free glucose is released into circulation, because many organs such as brain etc. are mostly utilizing glucose as the source of energy. So in between the meals, when the hormone insulin is not there in the blood supply, glycogenolysis is taking place, as is mentioned earlier. And insulin promotes conversion of excess glucose into fatty acids. Where? Is it in the adipocytes or is it in the liver? Let us see. When the quantity of glucose entering the liver cells is more than the capacity to produce glycogen, or when no more glucose can be converted into glycogen, when the maximum capacity for glycogen is already reached, you know what happens? Insulin promotes the conversion of extra glucose into fatty acids. Where? In the liver. So fatty acids are made in the liver. Then they are packaged as triglycerides, of course utilizing glycerol, in very low density lipoprotein VLDL. You might have heard of the term VLDL, very low density lipoproteins. Then it is entering the blood supply and it is reaching the adipose tissue, and in the adipose tissue they are stored as fat. So first of all, the incoming glucose is used by the liver to produce glycogen. When the maximum amount of glycogen is synthesized, when no more glucose can be taken up in the form of glycogen, the extra glucose is transformed into fatty acids. That is how insulin is maintaining glucose levels in the blood. And insulin promotes glucose uptake by the muscle. So far we were talking only about liver. Now let us see how the insulin is functioning in the muscle in the next slides.